Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well today. It is Apex here with another market sector analysis. So in today's video, I will try to shed some light on all the craziness going around the markets today or this past week. Give a little bit more clarity as to the key pivot levels that the market sectors need to hold. But overall, things are getting a little bit bearish. I think half the sectors are poised for bearish continuation, but half the sectors, including two big ones, QQQ and IWM, are situated nicely. So although there are some cracks in the wall, so to speak, there is still some um, definitive hope for the bulls. So I'm not ruling them out in any way, shape, or form. I know I have been tweeting a little bit bearishly over the last couple of days, but that is just likely due to the surge of euphoria and attention that this market environment is getting from average ordinary citizens who aren't necessarily regular market participants. Made this tweet yesterday talking about how I was seeing a lot of people with large followings reaching out to their followers, giving referrals to Robinhood, telling them they should get involved in all these stocks and trading altcoins. And it is reminding me a little bit of this thrill area here on this chart. Yes, I will buy more, and I need to tell all my friends to buy. So, I mean, that does resonate a little bit with me. I am seeing that more and more. Like I said, large following people giving referrals and platforms, as you can see in the news. We definitely have a lot of attention towards the financial sectors right now. So, whenever everyone's looking at a certain object or a certain market or whatever it is, that's typically my cue to stay a little bit cautious, tread carefully. And as you can see here, we are getting a little bit of bearish follow through. So, looking at SPY, the key pivot that we needed to hold was this January 15th pivot of 373.70. Now we failed to hold that on Wednesday, got a little bit of a bounce on Thursday, and then saw a massive continuation on Friday. What are we seeing here on a volume scale? We are seeing increasing bear volume, the two nodes eclipsing basically every volume node since November, which is telling. The bears are getting a little bit of follow through at these levels, but that is likely correlated to the overall uncertainty in the markets, people potentially feeling that similar caution that I'm feeling right now, where everyone wants to get involved. That does seem a little bit scary. However, I will clarify one thing. I do not think that we are at a top. I think anything, as I mentioned in this tweet, I think any move to the downside will likely just be corrective. The market is a little bit overextended. We had some nice consolidation here in October, November, saw a little bit of a breakout. So if we get a little bit of a pullback here, that won't be the worst thing in the world. I think it could be healthy for the markets. And like I said, the momentum is here. So I definitely could see the scenario for more upside to the more continuation to the upside. So SPY can hold this pivot here that was set on January 4th, 364.82. Hold that pivot, and the bulls will be looking for a bounce to the upside. But if we break that pivot, then things can get a little bit iffy. So definitely the bulls need to come up with an hourly trend change before them. What are we looking for with an hourly trend change? Well, breaking down the last couple of days of trading, we saw a big dump, but a nice solid bounce. The most likely outcome from here would be a higher low. Hopefully the bulls could change that trend. That's based off the assumption of the last several months of trading. That's kind of been the trend. Whenever we get a strong rug pull, we see a strong bounce, and the bulls change the trend right away. Things look good early, as we saw a lot of good bull volume and a nice bullish candle to open up Friday's session. But then we just saw a continuation to the downside and a lot of bear volume coming in at the end of the day, bouncing right off, rejecting from that bottom trend line. So the technical side of things does look a little bit grim for the short-term SPY bulls, but if anything, historically, over the last couple months has taught me, it's that bulls love to buy these dips. So as long as the other market sectors are holding out relatively well, things should be okay for the SPY bulls. So key pivot right here, and we'll see what happens in the next few days. The dollar is one of the more telling indicators that I'm using right now. So like I have said before, I'm 100% cash. I'm just sitting on the sidelines waiting for more directional clarity. I'm happy I made that decision, as all my positions that I was in have pulled back significantly from when I sold. So right now I'm patting myself on the back, definitely watching these SPY levels. Really want the bulls to defend this January 4th pivot low, but I'm really relying on this dollar. So I do see this potentially as a bullish pattern. We have a decent impulse wave up, higher low, consolidating similar to a flag. And as you can see here, I have the bear break, bull break levels marked out. So if the bulls break 90.9, I am continuing to be on the sidelines, and I do expect the assets will see more continuation to the downside. If we get a bear break, I think the assets bounce, and that would be my cue to look for more positions. So really just relying on the dollar for directional clarity here. Nothing is set as of right now. QQQ is one of the sectors that is still poised in a daily uptrend. So we had the strong impulse move from the 310.58 pivot, topped out at 330.32. The most likely outcome was a higher low, but we did not get that continuation. So we are pulling back significantly. But what the bulls need to come up with right here is a higher low compared to that 310.58 level. So I will be looking for that hourly trend change. So we have a strong dump. Most likely outcome from here is a lower high compared to this pivot high. Then I will be looking for a higher low compared to this pivot low and a break of the interim pivot high for that hourly bounce, which would confirm the for the hourly trend change, which would confirm the daily bounce. From here, if we get that daily bounce, most likely the outcome would be a lower high compared to 330.32, depending on how much momentum we have, but likely a lower high. And then we could form some sort of equilibrium, which hopefully would break to the upside. Now, if the QQQ bulls break this 310.58 pivot, that will be alarming for me. We can look at the big names. Apple still in that daily uptrend. Now with that pullback, we are looking for the lower high equilibrium break. But we do see this same trend of increasing bear volume. AMZN still in that, not quite a not quite at a daily uptrend, but poised to set one, which is helping the QQQ bulls. Facebook, similar idea, strong impulse wave up, breaking this interim pivot high, so setting the bulls up for potential daily continuation, but we are seeing some significant follow through to the downside. MSFT broke out, now it's kind of pulling back. This is still very bullish, strong impulse wave up, just looking to pull back at and retest this breakout zone. So a lot of the big names in QQQ are holding out well, looking for those higher lows to set, although we are seeing some deeper retracement. So that is partly why QQQ is holding out so well. But again, if we break that 310.58 pivot, things could get a little bit hairy. IWM is set up the best out of the big three. We see a strong impulse wave up from 190.94, and now we are pulling back looking for that higher low compared to the 190.94 pivot. I did have this pivot here marked of 204.66, although I do not think that level of price action is very telling. Although we are getting a bounce from it, I would not be surprised if we see continuation to the downside, as we do need to set up a bit of a retracement after being overextended for a number of weeks. So IWM set up the best. Again, we do see that pattern, however, of increasing bear volume. SMH, so I've been saying for a while, after getting that strong impulse wave up from the equilibrium, the most likely outcome was a retest of the breakout area. So we are getting that today. Looking at a couple of the individual names, NVIDIA still within this consolidated pattern, which it feels like it's been in forever, holding that bottom trend line. AMD is starting to break to the downside a little bit. We had a breakout of this nice pattern here and no continuation, so now things are getting a little bit bearish. We do have increasing bear volume, and although we did get a bullish earnings beat, the bulls are not responding very well. So SMH is definitely still situated well. Again, this is in the same ballpark as IWM, where we have a strong impulse wave to the upside. All we're looking for is a higher low, and we could still very well see continuation. So it all comes down to the hourly chart. And what we have right now is a strong move to the downside. We got a decent bounce, and it looks like we are trying to hold this pivot higher low. So if we can break this interim pivot high, then we can change that hourly trend and get the daily bounce underway, which would be a nice retracement right about to the 50% marker. TAN is looking a little bit weaker. We did break this pivot low here of 106.88 by 7 cents on Friday. However, the bulls did manage to get a close above that level. So hopefully we can see a strong bounce to the upside, continue in this channel. Again, what are we looking for? We want that hourly trend change. So we got a bit of a bounce, lower low, lower high, lower low. So if we can get a bounce over this pivot area here, then we are situated well for that hourly trend change, daily bounce confirmation. But if we continue to roll over, that will only add downward pressure to the overall markets. XLV, again, situated well. Similar to IWM, SMH, we have a strong impulse move after breaking out. We do have a failed breakout on a bull flag, but we are only looking for a higher low compared to 111.11, retesting this breakout zone here. So things are still situated really well. I do see a potential for continuation to the upside. And if we get that, then again, that's adding to the bull case for the overall markets. XLF looking very weak here, so we broke out of this consolidative phase, strong impulse wave up. Most likely the outcome was a higher low, but we just never got it. Bulls failed to make one. So we are holding a double bottom here at 28.83. Bulls need to change that hourly trend, which they are not poised to do right now. We have a low, we have a lower high, but a solid bounce, and then no continuation to the upside, only to the downside, breaking this pivot low here. So we're still in an hourly downtrend. We need to flip that, break this pivot high up here in order to change that hourly trend and get this daily bounce underway. XBI is the strongest sector in my opinion right now. It is holding out very well after this nice impulse wave. You could argue that's a bit of a bull flag, getting a lot of help from NVAX news. They had positive news about their vaccine, so we have this broad consolidated pattern, long-term bull flag, and then we get a strong gap up, open to the upside. Huge volume coming in, as you can see here, and good continuation throughout the day. So a positive response to vaccine news is helping XBI out a lot. The VIX, so I have marked that trend line here, which the bears need to defend for the asset case. We had a strong impulse wave to the upside, the biggest percentage gain in the VIX in months since March. And now it appears that we are holding a bit of a bull flag. Maybe a bit too deep a retracement, but still holding that consolidative pattern. So like I said, the bears need to defend that upper trend line, which will only help the asset bulls. But if we get over top of that, things could get a little hairy again. That might just add fuel to the fire. So a little bit of a recap here. Half the sectors are poised well, half the sectors are not. SPY is in a downtrend, but its main sectors of QQQ and IWM are still holding strong. So overall, my assessment is that the bulls are broadly in control. However, things are getting a little bit hairy. We need SPY bulls to hold this pivot here. We need QQQ bulls to hold this 310.58 pivot here. We need IWM to bounce. It's situated fine even when we get deeper pullback here, no matter at all. Same with SMH. TAN needs to hold this pivot. XLV, same category as QQQ, IWM, SMH. XLF, same category as TAN. If we break this pivot low down here, then that's only going to add more continuation to the downside. So, like I said, 50-50 mixed bag type scenario. But me personally, what I'm watching closest is the dollar for directional clarity and VIX. Dollar breaks to the bear side, things are good. If not, be prepared for more volatility to the downside. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. Hope you have a great weekend, and I will talk to you on Monday.